So, instead of going around just advertising what we're doing, you think I should maybe see if there's any people like me around that I could ask for some information?
I would certainly say, Griswold, that you have repeatedly shown on this escapade that gathering information is a specialty of yours.
We tend to clearly mark where we can be found and such that so I should be able to find it. So, how about we have a bit of a walk around the city, probably the more uh, downtrodden areas. See what we can find.
Makes sense to me.
Agreed.
But yeah, Matt. Do I know anything about this city? Like, I don't think I've ever been here, but like, would I have any information about like this is where trade happens, or this is where like the shady places are, or anything like that?
Um, do do a history check.
Oh, I had to refresh, so my character sheet is right here. All right, history.
Yep.
Well, I'm pretty good at that.
Yeah, I mean, Dathladur is a uh, mostly dwarven city. Um, Lots of trade. Obviously, the largest export being minerals, um, copper, gold, steel, all that. Metalworks. So that is the other thing about this. Despite the calming music that we have, it's actually very loud and people yelling. You've got hammers and machinery and all kinds of noise. You pretty much would have to be standing right next to each other and talking loudly into each other's ears to be able to hear it, unless you wanted to do, your little message.
Um. All right, then. I will just. All right. Yeah, I'll just kind of look around, mostly like just like the more populated areas and stuff like that, where I would assume like maybe a thieves guild or something like that would be, and I will just start looking on the walls, on different doors, on stuff like that, see if I can find any sort of indication of like somewhere that I could talk to some people to get information.
Yep, you can do investigation, look for like thieves' can't.
Right.
Yeah, I'd say you're able to find some indication of thieves in the city.
um any sort of location I can gain from it, like to where I could like go in and meet someone, or like at least start looking.
Yeah, they would basically be um, kind of a drop box of sorts where you could leave a message and someone would then in turn come to find you rather than
Okay.
directing someone to their location.
All right, then if there's a possibility, were there any taverns around us, like as we were walking, so I could just like I'll just flat out tell them where I'm gonna be.
Yep.
Okay. I'll point it out to everyone else. I'll be like, um, they don't seem very open to giving out their location, but I can leave a message where they will be able to come find me, and I'll get in touch with someone hopefully rather soon. But uh, everyone okay if we grab a spot at the inn? Just probably be here for at least a day.
It's the only way we're going to get this information.
it's the safest way I can think of. Again, I don't think it would be the smartest idea to just go out asking random townsfolk about it.
Oh, I didn't mean that as a question. I agree. This is the only way we're getting this information. So it is a necessary, if somewhat unfortunate delay.
Well, and I'll just say, we pass whatever tavern back that way, and I'll say, all right, well, the tavern back there. Let's go see if we could grab a few rooms, and I'll leave information on where they could find me.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll just write a short message, giving my name. I'll leave Desmond, um, and I will say myself and a few friends are going to be staying at insert tavern name, and you can come find me whenever you want.
The tavern that you would be going to would be the Black Ram.
Okay. Very dwarvish.
Or World of Warcraft dwarvish, I suppose, is with their ram mounts. You do have another way to scout this person out, potentially. Not convenient, but there's another way that you can kind of do it. Yeah, the insert tavern. I like it.
So yeah, I will do the note, and kind of just, well, may as well go check out the tavern and see if any rumors are spoken or anything like that. Still could gain other information that could be helpful. So Matt, does it look like this Dropbox is like, is it like, a one where it's like, you put it in right there and you close it back up? Or is it like, like the old school Blockbuster Dropboxes where you put it and it goes into another area?
For this, it's actually not really a box. What it is, it's essentially a crack in a wall that you slide a note through.
Okay, so all right, so it doesn't seem like if I were to stay here and watch, someone would come pick it up from the same place I put it in.
Correct. It's likely that it would be taken from wherever the other side of this goes. But yeah, I mean,
it does not seem like a good idea to break into where the thieves are going to be getting messages.
Yeah, so I mean, you can't really tell what this is. I mean, you assume based on what you know and of thieves guilds and the like. This actually it's just a stone like retaining wall. So from the outside, it doesn't look like there would be anything behind it really, because it just looks like a wall that's holding up some like earth. But you assume that there probably is something back there. But yeah, I mean, to the untrained eye, it's just a wall. No one would ever look at that crack and think, "Oh, I'm going to put something in here,"
All right, then yeah, then I'm not going to try to scout out who comes or anything like that. I will just go to the tavern and, I mean, we'll get some rooms and just sit around waiting. Unless anyone else has anything they want to do, but that's what Griswold's plan is.
I mean, I suppose it's worth an attempt. Caleb will take out the sending stones and just ask into it. I don't suppose you know where the vampire in Dathladur is?
You would get a response. Best guess would be the Sala silver mine. SALA, Sala silver mine.
Callum would, I mean, just tell the others. My best guess is the Sala silver mine, though It does seem to be just a guess, so better to confirm it than go rushing into some unknown operation.
Seems fine with me.
I say we what time of day would it be here, Matt? Because I think we came kind of pretty far from the other side of the continent, right?
It's probably
Yeah, but we teleported, and we're on
Yeah.
the same east-west. We're in the same part of the world. We're just much, much, much further north.
yeah. I don't know. Like I
Oh,
don't know
yeah,
how.
you're actually right.
Yeah, so you're almost directly,
Yeah.
almost exactly due north. But I don't know where the equator is in Isilra, so I don't know if it's like it's colder here because you're in the mountains. I don't know if it's colder here because you're so much further north.
Technically, if I remember my geography for the setting correctly, which is a big if, I think technically the entirety of this continent is north of the equator.
Yeah, I
Because
think
I
so as well.
think
I
there's
think
a
you're right.
big continent to the south too that's like a mostly desert area, if I remember correctly. Because that's the
Where the current campaign is.
I was gonna
Marquette.
yes, Marquette. Thank you. I was gonna say because it showed up in the first campaign. I haven't even listened to the current one.
Yeah, they do. They do go to Marquette as well. In the first campaign, it's not really described very well, but the other thing is, of course, uh, it's tiny. This whole place is tiny.
All right, well then, yeah. So what time of day was it when we left? It was like pretty early in the morning still, right?
Yeah.
All right, so then, yeah, Griswold will just let's give it the day. I say rest up now if you need it, and then that way, so we're not seen sneaking around, we could if no one gets in contact with me by, you know, sunset, we can go sometime in the dark overnight to check out the Sala silver mine.
Well, I
Go
think
ahead.
I think we should use some of this as preparation. I don't really know what's in a mine, but probably not an open flame would be good, right?
I haven't done much exploration of mines in my time, but we seem to have decent ways to light up areas. Doesn't someone literally have light? I believe Arvid did at least.
Yeah, Arvid does.
And Ragnar.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have at least two.
So I was
Yeah,
just
fair
pulling
enough.
up the world map because I have it. It just doesn't fit in Roll20. So the Neverfields, which is the very northern tip of Taldore, is south of Dathladur.
It was fucking freezing.
Shorecum in Isilra here is roughly due west of Iman.
Vasselheim was always a northern climb anyway. We're a little north of that, so.
And obviously, that's all just sort of best guesstimates because there's never been an official world map. We've had the different continents, but they've never been actually on a map together officially. But yes, it is. We are very north.
I just think it'd be best not to be seen going around at night searching abandoned mines. But any preparations we need, we could also do.
I do believe that you mentioned. I'm not. It's up to you if you really want to get into it. We'll focus on this much more in depth. But if you don't have cold weather clothes, you probably should get some.
Oh, I do. Yeah, we did say that at the end of last time, I think.
Yeah, we did get cold winter clothes. Yes.
Okay.
Question to the group. Who doesn't have dark vision?
I think just Signe.
And technically, you, unless that monocle's become attached to Griswold.
Oh, it's always on, especially in a cave.
Okay, because instead of casting light, I can just cast dark vision.
Or two.
Perhaps a good option if we do not wish to betray our position, though our unfamiliarity with the terrain may do that anyways.
Either way, to the tavern, give it a while, and at some point we'll decide whether we're going to continue waiting or go give it a shot in this mine you heard from the matron.
I think Arvid was going to look for some form of tree we can travel through in the next coming days.
Yeah.
I remember Matt saying you would have to go down into like the foothills a little bit outside the city.
Yeah, but it's easily attainable. I mean, it would take a little bit of time, but it's not like, there are no trees here. It's just there aren't really too many trees inside the city because they would have all been cut down for use essentially.
Yeah, then Arvid probably would have gone out to ascertain our exit, as it were.
Yeah, I'd say that probably about 15 minutes or so outside of the city, you can find some suitable trees for your purposes.
Griswold would mention the whole, how someone already impersonated Osmond, so there clearly is people watching us, so we should probably not go places alone, so either we should all go or at least have a couple people go with Arvid.
Ragnar would go with him.
Seems fair.
Then, yeah, if that's good, then the others, the rest of us would go to the tavern.
You have no real indication as to how long this could be. It could be an hour, or it could be 6 days that it would take for them to show up. So,
Well, that's why Griswold said we'll give it until at least darkfall, and if we feel like just following on the matron's lead, we'll just go give it a shot. If not, we could just keep waiting.
Yeah, that's the uncertainty of how long it will take is the only reason that Callum is staying at the inn, because if they show up, in 10 minutes, he wants to be there so we can leave.
let's just do let's do it this way. Griswold, roll a d20.
Great. Is it 20 minutes? Is it 20 hours? Is it 20 days?
So, they probably will not show up before dark.
Okay. All right.
Oh, Matt, is there some form of pharmacy or somewhere where you can get small pieces of glassware made?
Glassware, yeah, for sure.
Okay.
There would be like apothecaries and stuff as well.
Yeah, I'd like
you
to
get
purchase a
herbs.
needle or like a syringe.
Yep, that's easy enough. It would just be a few copper.
Yeah, well, I'll add that to my sheet now, thank you.
So it's getting dark. They have you have seen no indication that anybody is coming.
Well, while we're all sitting there, Griswold will just, all right, well, we don't know exactly how long this will take, so do we want to just go give this mine a shot while it's under the cover of dark?
Yes.
Or do we want to continue to wait until tomorrow?
Am I allowed to fight? Then yes.
We won't be fighting the vampire, no.
Every additional moment it takes us to complete these tasks is countless lives gone to Nerval. The sooner we do this, the better.
Right. Well, then, I say we head out. I can ask the barkeep where this specific mine is located. And we'll see what happens. At least give it a bit of a look around before we decide to just wait.
Okay.
So yeah, Matt, I'll go up to the bartender and I'll tell him my name and say I might have someone coming to look for me. So if they do come, please tell them I'll be back by morning. And I'll just ask him. And also, I was told about different mines around here that were a bit famous. One in particular I heard of was the Sala silver mine. Have you ever heard of it and try to find out where it is?
Oh yeah, it's actually not too far away. It's not necessarily famous, but I mean it was a pretty lucrative silver mine. It was abandoned not for anything. There wasn't anything dangerous or crazy or anything like that. It was abandoned because it was just depleted of silver. And it's been about 57 years that it has been closed.
Oh, very interesting. Well, I appreciate it, and again, we'll be back tonight. And if anyone does come looking for Desmond, please just take a message or tell them I'll be back shortly.
You see, like writing it down, Desmond, got it.
Well, thank you very much, and I'll put a gold onto the table for him. And I'll just kind of look at everyone and just say, well, the barkeep knows who I am to take a message, and the mine is not very far from here. So if we want to go, follow me.
Okay, let's go.
Signe, there's no guarantee of a fight, but I will guarantee you if anything happens, we will defend ourselves, but I don't think it'd be smart to be aggressive towards a creature like this.
No, I know. That's why I have the dragon claw still. See? Hoist it up.
And yeah, I'll lead them towards where he was saying this mine was.
And as you sort of go through, you kind of enter into the mountain itself, and it's kind of on the backside of the mount or backside of the city, and you can see that it's not just mines back here. There are some, it looks like some small kind of like apartments that are kind of built into the mountain. You can see that there are a few little stalls that are out there. You kind of imagine that these are things that are more for people who work in the mines to come by and, grab stuff on their way, like, grab a little bit of lunch or breakfast on their way into the mines themselves. And most of these are all being packed up at this point. As it's getting dark, you can see them like, closing down their little thing, unrolling the little, not really umbrellas, but the awnings that they have, and packing everything away. It's almost immediately, even though it was getting dark outside, I mean, this is all just like torches that are on the walls. So it instantly is darker and kind of gives you a bit of an eerie feeling. And of course, walking in, it gets very, very quiet. You hear the crackling torches. You can hear sort of the gravel underneath your feet. But all that ambient sound of the city goes away pretty quickly, muffled by the mountain itself.
When we're going in, does it seem like we're going straight in, or is it like down a slope or up a slope or anything?
When you first walk in, it's pretty straight, but within maybe 100 to 200 yards, you can see multiple different shafts that go all over the place, and some of them you can even see where there are ladders that you actually have to climb up to get into the mine shaft itself. It's kind of almost like a insect hive of all these different openings.
When we start getting to where there are different areas that you could branch off to, can I just look around and see if there's any signs of anything, like movement going this direction or that?
Yeah, so there are quite a few
Vampires this way.
Yes, big flashing
The
red
neon
lights.
lights.
Yeah, those are the kind of signs I'm looking for.
No, but there are waypoint signs essentially. So, with the different mines. You don't see one at this point that says the Solid Silver Mine, but you do see a few different silver mines themselves. The one that comes up is called Mogan's Silver Mine. So whether or not you guys have any sort of knowledge about, well, would the silver mines be close to each other, or would they be far apart from each other? I don't know if anybody would know that.
I don't think I definitely wouldn't in Griswold.
I mean, this is one of the things where you could roll for it, but realistically, does anybody's background have any sort of like, oh yeah, I know about silver mines, or just mines in general? I don't think anybody does.
Well, then in that case, can I just do like an investigation roll to see which? Because I mean, he said that this specific mine has been closed for like 57 years. Can I do any sort of check to see, like, if one looks like it's newer, older, or anything like that?
Yep.
I rolled a 2.
You do get when you're looking through, you can see that a lot of these signs have been they're not replaced; they're just painted over. So you can see that there are a few sort of faded mines that you assume are ones that are closed. And as you're looking, there seem to be some from where you're standing off to the southwest. You can see that there are a number of shafts that are going down, and those appear to be ones that are closed off, whereas the ones that are to the east appear to be newer.
Okay. Right. Griswold will point it out and say we should have a look over here. These ones seem to be newer, and the ones over in this direction appear to be more on the time frame of what the barkeep told me.
Oh, before Griswold runs off ahead of the group, I'm going to try and make him a little sneakier. So I'm going to, if he'll let me, I'm going to cast a spell on him.
Sure.
Enhance ability. I'm going to give him Cat's Grace.
Right. So then, yeah, I will go sneak up ahead and try to look through the rest of the block offs and see if there's any sort of indication of which mines they used to be.
All right, do another investigation check.
This one's way better.
So it doesn't actually take you too long, about 10 minutes or so of looking, and you do actually find a mine that has been closed off. It's and you can see that there is an old sign that is almost worn off, but you can see that it does say the Sala Silver Mine. It is essentially it's boarded up in two separate ways. So at the bottom of it, there are probably about up to your waist. They have closed it off with rocks, and then above that is actually just wood that has been placed there. So you can't see into the mine right now.
Does it look like a cave in, or does it look like rocks that were
no? They
placed there?
What it kind of what it looks like is that they were going to close the whole thing off with stone, and it's not the finest cut stone, but you can tell that these were the stone fits together, so it has been cut at least a little bit. So it's not like it's just boulders that are smashed together. It looks like they were going to just seal it with rock, but halfway through, they either, for whatever reason, they just filled up the rest with wood. And looking around, you can see that most of the ones that are closed off are actually closed completely with stone.
I will sneak back into range, and I'll use my whoever is closest, like that I see. I'll just speak into their mind. I'll just say, I found one that appears to be less secure than the others, and it does say the Sala Silver Mine on it. So, bit of good luck here, and everyone can come forward.
Yeah. Try to quietly follow up.
I mean, if Signe is moving up, Callum's going to assume that either she's making a very poor decision, or that Griswold let her know something and follow.
Yep. Aragna will also attempt stealth.
Yeah, I'll stealth.
Oh yeah, being sneaky's a thing. Let's do that.
So, like once everyone gets up, I'll point out to them, like, all the other ones that are completely stoned off, and I'll just say, this one here seems to have something where it's a bit easier to get in and out of. So, kind of gives a sign that perhaps someone is using this area.
Certainly a potential sign of passage. And as Callum says that, he will look for any other signs that there's some traffic through here more often than one might initially believe.
Yep, you can investigate as well.
And as Callum goes off, Griswold's going to kind of look at everyone else and just say, just thinking, if you were to, say, live in a mine, secluded from everyone else, how would you feel about a group of people sneaking up on you? Would that be more threatening than if we were to just walk in openly and try to greet the being, or should we try to sneak?
Probably not sneak, actually.
Oh no, I think it could be amusing.
No, we don't want to offend him or anything, or them.
Usually you sneak up on someone to surprise them, and since we don't know them, surprise could be taken as a threat.
And with that, I think that, Signe, perhaps I could cast light on your shield instead of you getting dark vision. That might be less threatening as well.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I kind of forgot I had a shield. Sure you don't want it?
Oh, no, I have my own. I can also just cast it on your sword. Or whatever you have. I don't remember, admittedly. Axe. Yes.
Sister, have you ever truly known me to be a swords person?
There was a little bit of time. Just a little bit, though.
No. The axe is the future.
My apologies.
So, Callum, your investigation.
Nothing new. Noted.
I mean, like, the only thing you can kind of look at is like you can kind of deduce, I guess, or make an assumption at the very least, that given what you can see around the other mines, that this is not original. This wood is probably not what was here originally. That being said, the wood itself actually doesn't look new. So it's not like this was put up yesterday.
It's a different construction, but similarly aged materials.
I mean, it's, you may guess, because I mean, again, it's difficult to
Wood
judge
dating in
the
stone is
age of-
very.
yeah.
Oh, Matt, actually, here, quick question. If I go up to it and touch the wood, is the wood like secured in, or is it kind of just like laying there?
If you kind of look, you get the impression that there is probably a bit of like support beams behind it that these boards are like nailed to, because if you're kind of like hitting it like you would a wall, it feels like there's like a wall stud kind of behind it where there's something that these planks of wood essentially are nailed to.
So it's not like we could just move it to the side and get through.
No, you could potentially rip the boards off, but it feels like they're attached to something behind, but not all the way across. It's not solid. So again, it's kind of like like you would put up a regular wall where you have wall studs basically.
Okay. I will back out and I'll Signe. It appears to be anchored to something back there. Do you think you could get a few of these boards off so we could fit through?
Oh, absolutely.
I can help you.
No, you should save your strength. After all, something happens to your pretty face, sister. Bruh, I don't know. I'm just saying you're the charismatic one. I don't know what I'm on about tonight.
It's okay.
You don't need to do strength checks because it's not going to be difficult to get the boards off. What it's going to be is how you want to do it. So if you would like to try and get these boards off quietly, then you can do like a dexterity roll. If you don't care, you can just either bash them with an axe or just start tearing them off.
I'll try to be good. So that would be what?
Just a dex check.
I'll offer her like a dagger to see if she wants to use it to like pry it out and stuff like that.
11. I mean, with your best intentions, you try to just kind of pry them off, and between the age of the wood and just your natural barbarian strength, the wood just starts to snap. It's not loud, but it's just sort of like it cracks a bit, and it kind of comes the boards essentially break in two where you put the pressure to try and pop them off the nails.
I thought you said these were boards, not sawdust.
So doing that a few times, you can see exactly what you had expected. So there are 3 large beams that are standing from the bottom to the top of the mine, which the mine itself is arched. But you can't really see in. You can see right in front of you, but it's pitch black in there at this point.
I'm gonna suspiciously walk up and kick one of the support beams, because if those boards came down that easily, I want to make sure that this thing won't collapse immediately.
It'll be kind of a high kick because remember there's stone.
Yeah, no,
on the ground.
no, I'll totally take a run and leap and just do it.
So you feel it move. It doesn't fall, but you do feel the beam actually move back a little bit. It actually feels more secure when you do that because it kind of like digs into the ground, and then the top of it kind of smashes up against the rock ceiling. So you've moved it a little bit away from the stone wall, but it actually feels more secure now than it did a second ago.
That does not inspire confidence. I'm gonna eye the other one. Does the other immediate out beam look like it needs a drop kick?
They all look pretty similar.
I'm gonna do my best as we go along to try to like shove these beams in so it's more sturdy.
I would suggest not going around destroying or at least altering the potential home of someone we want to try to negotiate with.
I would suggest not being buried alive.
Well, the wood
It
beams
has
were only for the wood. It's not it has nothing to do with the integrity of the mine itself.
also it has
You were-
stood this long. What you moving them is far more likely to collapse it than just letting them continue to stand.
So for those of you with dark vision, you can see obviously a little bit into the tunnel there, and you can see that there are a bit of kind of on the sides of uh, the the shaft itself. You can see that it looks like there are remnants of the cut rock that was originally in place of the wood that actually is cracked in pieces. And so they didn't remove it. They just left it there when it was. So you can see it looks like it was broken, and then just kind of left behind, and then the wood was put in after. They just left the broken rocks there.
Ragnar would cast light for Signe.
Well, Ragnar, it has been said you are the one who's best with words, so perhaps you and Signe can be in front, and you could be our negotiator.
Okay.
As we're walking, I'm gonna kind of look back to Arvid and just say, "Is there anything you could do for her with talking, like you did for me with sneaking?"
Possibly give me a second. Unless you wish to not be as sneaky.
I think with I'm okay with that. I'd rather her have a better chance of negotiating. Avoiding the fight is probably our best option.
Understood. I'll walk over to Ragnar, drop my concentration on enhance ability, and again at level 2. Enhance. What's it called? Eagle's Splendor.
Oh, thank you.
Well, it should be a little bit more convincing. Whether that helps or not is a different matter.
So Matt, we're looking in here with like night vision and stuff, or dark vision and such. Are we like? Is it like also another path that branches off into more? Or does it look like it's just like a singular path now?
Right now, it is a path that appears to be going down and to the left, which is from where you are, probably north.
So as we're walking, Griswold will be like, "All right, well, Signe, you had a couple of items that you were willing to part ways with as a sort of trade. Is there anything else anyone could think of that Ragnar should know about that we're willing to barter or bargain with?"
I mean, I feel it goes without saying anything I have is open for this task. So long as it will not impede our ability to complete the others.
I have a needle to take blood.
Oh, that's why you bought that. That's a good idea.
Yes.
That was
I-
smart.
I don't know much vampires, but if he likes alcohol, I have rather nice whiskey from Avangora.
I have this. And she pulls out the cuddly toy spider from way long ago.
Some reason it fits with the vampire theme.
Didn't you know they like to sparkle?
Yes.
Not in Matt's games.
Well, they're going to be completely different in the next game. I did a little research about vampires in Exandria, and by default, they're mostly, not entirely, but they're mostly like D&D vampires, and it's only like that because Mercer didn't really. We've only seen one vampire so we only have the one to go on, and so everybody's extrapolating upon anything that Mercer didn't say. They're just defaulting to the regular D&D vampire. So that's what I'm kind of doing as well.
What, so you're telling me we can't have sparkly emo vampires?
I don't think that's
I'm not saying you can't, just saying you don't.
yes. And I believe that if you can get some running water, you might be good because vampires just can't do running water.
Just also draw a square on the ground and claim it's your home, and you can't walk into it without being invited.
Exactly. I live here.
And I just because we were just talking about it, and I was thinking about the Briarwoods and all that stuff. The new Vox Machina episodes start on the 20th of next month.
Oh, nice.
It's going to be 12 episodes. They're doing them in like 3 batches or 3 episodes per week. It says.
I will definitely give it a watch.
Yep.
Oh, it's the best arc from the entire first campaign.
Hard disagree, but okay.
Oh, I love the dragon arc.
Dragged on way too long for me.
I loved it.
In any case,
I think I would probably go with the Chroma Conclave overall as my favorite of that. But I mean, let's be real. The entire campaign dragged on. I mean, it was 130 some episodes or something.
Plus all they played before it and shit too.
Yeah. So.
yeah, don't get me wrong. A lot of it did, but like, Chroma Conclave was like a solid 60% of the total runtime of that show.
Yeah, I mean, I think he kind of wrote himself into a hole there when he was like, "Yeah, there's 17 dragons.
Exactly.
Kill them all." So that was after a while. I mean, I felt kind of bad for him because like, how do you make the 5th dragon fight interesting? So yeah.
That is true. I just like the story behind it, and then Grog's fight against
His was it uncle.
Mm-hmm.
What's his name? Something Dak.
Kevdak.
Kevdak, yeah. Anyway, you're in a mine right now.
Yeah.
And if you'd like to continue with perceptions and investigations,
I'll investigate. I'm not great with perception.
Ragna will perceive, and she also won't be doing any kind of sneaking.
Yeah, Callum will just be also perceiving, trying to make sure we don't get snuck up on.
Ragna perceive good.
I'm going to turn invisible as a racial and then start investigating.
Ragnar just clanging her armor against the walls as she's walking.
Is invisibility also concentration though? Oh wait, no, never mind. You said it was your racial.
Yeah, I got a 17 because of incisive sense, which is racial. I get advantage on investigations.
Dope.
So as far as like perceptions are concerned, Signe, your concerns are assuaged pretty much because the even though it has been abandoned for some time, it seems very sturdy and safe. You don't see, as you're walking through, there don't appear to be any cave-ins that you can see at all. Everything just seems perfectly carved out as it would have been originally, so the dwarves know what they're doing. But I would say, Griswold, you'd be the first to notice, and Callum would probably shortly after notice something a little bit as well. But as you're walking along, at first you see something that kind of catches your eye, and then further down you can see more. There are just tons and tons of sprung traps in here. So there are like spike traps. There appear to be like poison gas traps that have already, I mean, they've all been used, but you can see like little cylinders that would have contained the noxious gas that would have been released. So
Are there any like victims of the traps around it?
you do not see any currently, at least in the traps that you found so far. You do not see any like bodies or anything like that.
Yeah. Griswold will like kind of Magnus, Signe, hold on,
Hmm?
and he'll just point them out and just perhaps I can go up a little bit ahead and just make sure we don't walk into anything dangerous.
I would have done the same thing. Smart guy.
Hmm.
Be careful.
I will. But yeah, I'll just go up and I'll like start just walking slowly and pretty much looking at every inch of ground and stuff like that as we're moving forward in order to make sure there's no traps that are about to pop.
As he looks down, I'll look up.
I mean, as you guys are walking, it starts to become, even if you're not, now that you're all sort of aware and like looking specifically for these things, you can see a number of like spike traps that were on the ceiling that you actually are in front of you now. So like you actually have to kind of like walk around them because there was a big old like plate of spikes that would have come down and smashed you in the face had you been here at a different time and not seen it. But as you're walking through, you do not spy any traps that have been reset or any traps that are new. These all actually, they appear to be relatively old. You would guess, and I'm just going based on like your 21 in investigation. These were not original. These were not, here when the mine was built. But you would guess they're probably newer than 57 years. So it's not something that was installed as soon as the mine closed. But you can see a little bit of rust on some of them, like the metal spikes and everything. So these weren't put up, within the past couple years or anything like that.
More signs that someone has been coming and going since after the closure of the mine.
And that others have tried to and potentially failed.
And it appears elder vampires don't need as much blood, but definitely seems to be a way for him to get some.
That or else they thought there was something greater here, a treasure that was hidden. Someone decided to guard it.
So as you progress, again, this is throughout the tunnel, and you can see that the tunnel does kind of, it drops down a little bit, and you would assume at this point that you are probably 50 feet below where you started as the mine keeps going down. It's a gentle slope though, so you didn't have to like climb ladders or anything like that, but it's getting quite cold in here at this point. And you can see in the distance the mine is start to open up into like what appears to be a big cavern, and you can see that there is like scaffolding and a lot of like old mining equipment that obviously this area that you're entering into would have been the main silver mine that they would have been, or silver vein rather, that they would have been getting all of the silver from.
Do the traps seem to continue into this area?
They probably stopped about 25 feet before it gets into this area. This is the last one that you saw.
So either we have reached a point that someone has been traversing often enough to not need traps, or simply made it further than anyone else who's tried.
Second option is way more exciting. I vouch for that one. So let's
All
keep
I
our
mean
eyes
is to
peeled.
be on your guard.
If we all if we all stay really really quiet, do we hear anything?
You can do perception checks if you'd like.
I will try. I'm not great at it.
Oh, give it a go. I don't assume any passive 25 picks anything up.
I mean, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of
I
passive
know.
perception, if I'm honest. It's kind of cheap.
Passive 25. Wow.
But I mean,
I'm impressed.
still with rolls of 20 plus, you do hear a couple of things. The most prominent thing that you do hear a little bit of kind of the sound of like gravel being crushed, but that's just sort of like being in a mountain that is also a mine, and then just shifting earth and that type of stuff. You hear a few drips of water, and you hear what sounds like a kind of slow, raspy breathing.
Can I identify the direction of the raspy breathing?
It would be almost in front of you, but on the other side of this cavern.
Yeah. Without without remembering he's invisible, he's going to point to the other side of the cavern.
Your dark vision can't actually see the back side of the cavern is bigger than that, so.
But yeah, after pointing and realizing no one can see him, there's some breathing coming from the other side of the cavern. It'll just drop invisibility in that direction.
Oh yeah.
Okay, we can carefully move forward. No need for sneaking, though, I don't think. Hopefully.
Read.
At this point, talking alone should have let them know we're here.
Okay.
Uh, Griswold is gonna. He doesn't want to look threatening, but like he's just checking his belt to make sure dagger's still where it's supposed to be and all that stuff, and just he's not gonna pull, but he's ready to pull out his daggers and start stabbing if he has to.
So you guys are going to walk towards the breathing.
Yep.
Okay, so as you do that, Arvid and Signe, you were the ones that heard it, and as you start walking forward, you hear it. You still hear it, and then all of a sudden you don't hear it anymore. And then from behind all of you, you hear a voice that says, "Intruders."
I prefer the term guests.
So for anyone who turns around at this point, you would see a very tall, like 7-foot tall, super pale, super thin, gaunt looking creature wearing sort of tattered clothing. Think more like Nosferatu than Dracula at this point. Very sharp features. Although being sort of thin and gaunt looking, still rather terrifying to look at. I don't remember inviting any guests.
There are such things as unexpected guests.
We're just here to ask a request of you, and we can offer something in return.
Intriguing. And he sort of like waves his hand, and probably like 50 different torches around this cavern light up. And then he sort of does this gracious sort of motion, and there is this ratty old table to your left, or to your right, to his left. There's some chairs there around it too, mostly stools rather than chairs. But
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
We appreciate your hospitality.
he sort of just nods and watches you all walk. He doesn't walk over there. He waits until you all go before he moves.
Regna would make sure she has her hands on the table just to be as non-threatening as possible. And she will say, we have a request. We would like a vial of your blood, if possible. We do have things we can offer in return.
And what is it that you would assume I would want for something like that?
We have, and she gestures towards Signe.
It's a very good question. Which is part of the reason we have not made an offer. We do not know how you value such an exchange.
Regna, kind of puts her arm slowly down and then looks back from Signe to Callum.
As you all have sort of gone over and sat down, he walks over to the table, and you can see that he's got these unnaturally long fingers and very long fingernails. They're not like claws or anything. It's just obviously this is the guy who's not trimming his fingernails, but he kind of has his hands sort of tented together. What exactly do you need my blood for?
Magic stuff.
Matt, can I do a quick? Are we like in an area that has like some of his belongings and stuff?
No, this looks like this was something that was left from the miners.
I was gonna say, can I look around to see if he has any like markings of any religious markings or any? Well, can I look on him and see if he has like any sort of religious markings or anything like that?
Yep.
Will it be perception or investigation?
If you want to do religious markings, it would be religion.
Okay, I will do religion.
He does actually appear to have markings, like very crude sort of tattoos along his neck and shoulders, which you can see because he's wearing this sort of like tattered shirt that is kind of open at the chest. They are not any religious markings that you've ever seen. They look more like tribal. Not like, tribal tattoos that you would see in our world, which are just awful, but more like tattoos.
Random swirls and stuff.
Yeah, that you would have, some of them just being, just jagged lines and stuff. Not like Vin Diesel stuff,
We need your blood for a ritual. Nothing that would return back to you or anything.
Well, details would be preferred.
We
If you
intend to
don't,
use it to kill the god of death.
right, never mind.
Nerul specifically. Um, Someone we know is trying to take his place.
Surprisingly, he doesn't seem surprised by that admission. Um, so why would I assist in killing the god of death?
Well, certainly, I imagine as one who has gone to great lengths to avoid death for yourself, you would understand the reasons one might want to remove him.
Well, Narul has mostly left me alone, so who's to say your new god would do the same?
That is a good question.
Can I answer honestly?
Oh, well, he doesn't say that, but yeah, Griswold is kind of just looking back and forth between them, like, what the fuck are you guys doing?
Because we're related, and if she screws this up, I'm gonna come back from death and kick her ass.
That sounds like a you problem.
I would add that the express intent of this change in power is to reduce the loss of life and suffering and seemingly leaving you to your own devices, especially where you have not been causing such harm to others. It's simply practical.
Yes, they are new, the one intending to take control of Nerul's job. I know that she will be benevolent rather than malevolent.
Narul tends to use the undead for his own purposes. So, what does your new god have to say about my kind?
In the case of vampires, I do not know. The mindless undead, controlled by Nerul, she has been none too kind towards, though I cannot blame her for that. But for you, a thinking, feeling creature, it's hard to say.
I mean, we can ask her.
One thing she made extremely clear was that she wanted no power from it. That was her reason for removing the rule, was his usage of the undead for his own benefit. Well, undead and as well as truly dead.
So, you expect me to do this out of some sort of altruism, as if I care one way or the other?
No. As we said, we came willing to bargain for this. We need nearly know what you would accept for such a favor.
Signy has a dragon claw or tooth.
Yeah, man. We did some real cool fighting. Listen, I got you a dragon claw. I got some dragon scales. Adult dragon, too, man. Like, oh. If you got time, I'll tell you a story. It was fun.
Callum not even look at the others as they are making offers. He is just eyes on this vampire waiting to see what it will ask for.
I have no use of material things. And you all kind of get the impression that, yeah, he's a dude living in a mine with nothing. He's not even having, he doesn't have like real clothes.
You like being away from people, it seems. You seem rather secluded, yes?
Yes, and when 5 unwelcome guests appear demanding things of me,
Requesting, but I can see your point. Um, in our travels, we've come across many remote locations where you would be much less likely to be bothered than in a mine outside, very close to the outside of a large city. We can perhaps uh, show you these areas so you could have a more peaceful time avoiding others. We are rather skilled in other areas as well, where if you need a job done or if there's something like that, we can discuss it. But overall,
Because then we can go in the way.
and
All
he's
you need do is ask what you would request.
you can see that he's kind of thinking. I would like a guarantee that your new god gives me the same space that Narul does. So I have an idea. You just need my blood for a ritual. I have a ritual of my own.
What is it?
Well, I'll need some of your blood.
How much?
Not much.
Yeah,
Sure.
you can
how
have.
much-
To
Yeah.
what end? We've been very open with our intentions. Surely you can extend us the same courtesy.
Well, this ritual
I,
will work in 2 ways. It will allow me to know where each of you are at any given point, and it will do the same for you. You will know where I am at all times. In addition to that connection, should I die, so will you.
To be
What
clear,
happens
are
if
you
we
not
die?
already dead?
Death, destruction, however you'd like it. If I cease to exist in my current form, your death will follow.
I think I'm fine with this.
Well, hold
Well,
on. Does this work in reverse? Like, if we drop, do you drop?
No.
Okay, cool.
well, let us first work on getting you your guarantee, because if we can't get that guarantee, it appears that this whole other conversation would be worthless. Would you mind giving us a few moments to contact the individual we were talking of?
I have expended the stone for today already.
I can
That
still
is
talk
how
to
we
her.
knew to come here.
I can I can speak with her.
Fair enough.
Would you give me a few moments?
He just kind of motions with his hand for you to walk away.
Okay. I will walk away. I will sit down, and I will cast sending um to the matron, and I will just I don't know if you're busy. We have found the vampire. He is asking for a guarantee of being left alone. Can you come or give me an answer?
Uh, you would receive a response stating, he will be left alone.
And just to be safe, I'm going to do one more sending because I didn't have enough words the first time. He is also asking for us to conduct a ritual that if he were to perish in his current form, the rest of us would as well. Do you find this acceptable?
It would seem safe, as he is essentially immortal, but your decision.
Griswold will just not like he not even realizing no one else is around and she can't see him. He'll just kind of nod and get back up and walk back over and just say, well, I do have a response, but if there's one way in which we can possibly amend your ritual, if not, I still have an answer to give you, but I was just wondering, can we make it to if you are to perish because the one replacing the rule does not leave you alone, or if we were to cross you in any way, we would perish? Because granted, you are immortal, but there are people out there who hunt monsters and such. If we do not have to do with your death, would we still have to die?
You would. Hence why you would be able to see where I am. If I'm in trouble, you better come to my aid.
Would be able to get in touch with us if that were the case?
Did you not just contact your new god?
I do have some trepidations in agreement with Griswold. For example, should another group come and do exactly as we have done of entering, with more violent intentions, having us perish then certainly seems unjustified. Especially given that you might never leave this cavern in the process.
Well, considering you've broken in, I will be leaving.
If I'm much more willing, if you are willing to at least ensure that we have an opportunity to come to your aid if you're in danger, that is enough for me. I've fought for myself, for my own life, since I've been born, so I don't see a problem in continuing to do so. I don't speak for everyone, that is just me.
As I said, I'm fine with it.
You had me at fight.
Arvid, how do you feel about it?
Does it matter if someone's already been dead?
It does not.
I may require a small sidebar.
Sidebar with the group or with the vampire?
The group, not the vampire.
Oh, I thought you were going to sidebar with the queen.
Griswold will, he'll say, another moment if you, well, you don't seem to be in a bit of any of a rush. You're literally going to be here forever, so we have a few more moments.
He does the hand motion again.
Well, I can't do that.
Okay. Well, then we try to bargain that the rest of us will.
It's nothing personal. I'm just already in service of a queen from a different plane of existence. I can't really start making oaths to other beings.
Sounds less an oath and more a magical mechanism of sorts. No more an oath than a bandit stabbing you on the road and causing your death.
Maybe, but I thought I'd just let you all know where I stand on this specific deal.
Callum, you seem not to be too motivated to make this deal either.
It isn't ideal.
Well, you've already been willing to sacrifice yourself many a times to put an end to the rule. This would just be another instance of that.
Perhaps there is a certain level of No, you are correct. I have trepidations about it, but the reward outweighs the risk, no matter what that risk may be.
Let's look at it this way. We can go back. Signe, Ragnar, and myself have all already agreed. We can see if the three of us are enough, and if not, Callum, then you make your decision. If 4 is not good enough, I will respect Arvid enough to not force it. So, we are going to have to find another way to get this vampire's blood. Perhaps we can offer some sort of services or something like that. But the other ways seem much more difficult and possibly much more dangerous.
I agree.
Okay. Well then, Ragna, Signe, before we go back and talk, you two are both sure that you're willing to do this.
Yes.
Yeah, no offense. I'm not terrified of an immortal hermit, even if I should be.
Well, Ragna, I am in the same way of thinking as both of you, so do your best to get him to accept the three of us. If not, Callum, let him know what you're willing to do. And if that turns bad, time to start thinking on the spot. And Griswold kind of just puts a hand on one of his daggers.
Agreed.
Yeah, killer.
Okay, sir, we have come to a decision, and Ragnar will go back and sit at the table again.
As we're going back, Ragnar, you just hear in your mind from Griswold, if the conversation comes to about why Arvid can't, he's in service of another that is a very powerful entity. I don't know if he'd want you to say who exactly, but it's not that he doesn't want to, it's that he can't. I think that would go better.
Says in mine, or thinks okay. So, if you don't mind, sir, it has been decided that myself, my sister Signe, and that he will, she points to Griswold, all three of us are very willing to offer up our blood for your ritual. My other two companions are not so willing or can't. So, if possible, we would like to do it with just the three of us.
I also, when I spoke with the matron, and I'll say that for the first time out, she did give a guarantee that you will be left alone to do as you wish. Go ahead, Ragna.
Sorry, I was just going to say, I, as a champion of the matron, do also give my... I swear that I will come help whenever you need it.
Not to mention that 2 of the people who are willing to make this, who are willing to accept this ritual, are sisters of the matron herself.
Make a persuasion check.
How long does your enhanced ability last, Rob?
It lasts an hour.
Didn't even need it. Nice.
And you can see that he's sitting contemplating in silence for a while. It's long enough that it's really uncomfortable. Like you finish talking and then he doesn't move, his face doesn't change. It's like he's sitting there still, and you're like,
Like one of the old cartoons of the people just staring at each other.
yeah.
Hey,
I can
Arvid, this
just
is like
start-
when you're trances, right?
Probably less so, but you know, if people aren't used to silence for long periods, it can make them uncomfortable.
And after again, like what is way, way too long in a normal conversation, he just says, "Fine."
Amazing, thank you.
Griswold will instantly pull out a dagger and just put it to the palm of his hand and just say, "Are you ready?"
Yes, how do we do this for you?
And he opens up his hand, and this silver, kind of like it's kind of like a bowl, but it looks like it's a very ornate. It's 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 not a particularly big bowl, but and it looks even smaller in his giant hand, and he just sort of like holds it out to you.
And all right, Griswold's gonna get up and approach and just, "I can give you mine. Then can we have yours to ensure that we don't just give everything to you and you disappear?"
He slowly kind of puts the bowl on the table in front of you, and then he just sort of makes a fist with his hand, and the three of you actually feel a cut appear on your neck, and you actually see the blood shoot out of your neck and land into the bowl.
Oh, that's how it's done.
Oh, that
And
is
then
cool.
and then but it's just basically like a squirt of blood, and then if you like touch your neck, you can feel that you can feel a kind of like it's not really a scar, but you can already feel that
Raised skin.
yeah, the wound is not bleeding still.
Griswold kind
So,
of look at me. You could have just said no.
and where would you like my blood?
Oh, in a vial.
You know, probably pull a vial out.
Okay. I still have my old bottle from the potion, if that's all right.
Callum was like halfway through uncorking a potion of greater healing to just dump out on the ground to have a bottle. So
I think
yeah,
he he would take the file from Arvid, and you can see he just takes these big long nails and just sort of like slices the finger on his other hand and just lets it drip in there. And you can see that it's very, very viscous and thick, and it's black as it sort of drips in there very, very, very slowly. and he fills it probably about halfway, and then hands it back to Arvid.
Oh, thank you.
You did say you're leaving. When will this ritual of yours be done so you'll know where we are and vice versa?
He, as you say that, he sort of swipes his hand across the bowl on the table, and the bowl disappears, and instantly the three of you get this strange kind of feeling. Ragnar, you would kind of it would be similar to the uh, good and evil spell, where
Okay.
you feel his presence instantly. Which is, by the way, the other thing I was alluding to, that you had another way to try and find him.
Yeah.
It was only 60 feet, so you'd have to kind of be wandering around. But that is something that you could have attempted to use to try and locate him. But for the two of you that have never cast that spell, it's a weird feeling, because it's kind of like that feeling like when you're, if you're sitting there, you're sitting there reading a book or watching TV or whatever, and there's like somebody standing behind you, and you can kind of feel them back there. Like, that's what it feels like. Just kind of in the back of your mind, you kind of like have. It's especially weird because he's still in front of you, but that's what it's like.
One
And
more
will
thing
now
before we
be like that for the rest of your life.
One more thing before we part ways. Might I know your name?
I've had many names.
Which
Can't-
one's your favorite?
It's been a long time since I even used one.
Dave.
Richard.
Brizzo, well, just fair warning, if you don't tell her one, I'm sure she would love to make up one for you.
Some who call me Tim.
Great callback. Sure. If you want to go by Richard, I just want to have something to call you by. I'm Signe Luvenhelm of the Luvenhelm family. Not particularly bright, but I fight like hell. For ya.
As you did say, you plan on leaving here. There is an old tomb crypt deep within the Dathladur forest to the south, near the Ashen Peak Mountains. We have been there in the past and cleared out of most creatures. Didn't really see any living beings in the area, so just a thought.
It
If you
has
do
been
have somewhere to go,
several years, admittedly.
well, the dragons in the sky, most of the elves that inhabited the forest are dead, so I still don't think there would be many living creatures in the area.
I'm sure I can find a place on my own, and you'll know exactly where it is. So yes, his name's Orpheus.
I like it.
Um, when we do leave, I don't know how long you're going to be staying. Do you want us to put the wood back up the best we can, or you good to just leave it?
Just leave it.
And just out of instinct, Griswold like puts his hand forward, like to shake the guy's hand after making a deal.
He will not reciprocate. And in fact, he will actually essentially turn to mist. And for all intents and purposes, you all can't see him anymore. But for those of you who are connected, you would start to feel him moving away rapidly.
Yeah, I'd say he's done with us. I say we also make a quick cutout somewhere safe again and get this back to Sis as quick as possible.
Yeah.
I can find out if she left the vigil or if she's still there. If she's still there, Arvid, how long would you need to get us there? Do you need to rest? I don't remember if you already used your magic.
Well, he did. He treed us here, which means he needs a day to recoup.
No. Didn't we take the teleportation circle here?
We did.
We
That's
did.
why we needed to find a tree once we got here.
My bad.
I do have the ability to transport us.
Well, give me a moment. This is the last time I can speak with the matron, but if it is okay, we can go to her now.
There's just one downside to that plan.
The
I
tree.
was resurrected at Twilight's Vigil. I didn't go outside at Twilight's Vigil.
That is correct. Because she
Oh.
just teleported all of you to Vasselheim.
So if I don't know a tree large enough to walk through there, I can't send us there.
That is a good point.
Maybe we should just go back to Vasselheim and then travel quickly to Twilight's Vigil.
Oh, you can also.
That would make sense.
You can also
It is a
check-
shorter trip.
You can check in on Ali as well.
Yeah.
I can also I could ask your sister if she would be able to meet us in Vasselheim.
That also seems preferable.
Or just meet us here.
Well, if we do, yeah, that. All right. Well, I'll just simply ask. I don't have many words. I'll simply ask if she would be okay to meet us in Dathladur or Vasselheim, or if we must meet her at the vigil. So Griswold will just send a message. Got the blood. Would you like to meet us either in Dathladur or Vasselheim, or must we come to the vigil or to Twilight's Vigil?
In my mind, I just feel like I'm sitting there listening when you're saying that. You're like texting it on your phone, you know. Like,
Yeah, you gotta do the shorthand, man. You gotta get those words in.
Yeah, but unlike the old-fashioned Nokias.
yeah, where you had to like what was that called? Like it was like is it called like
It was-
Q9 or something where you had to do like the A, you know, had to do like to do A to do C, you
Yeah,
had to
it was
3
like
times.
I thought it was like something
can't-
alpha or something like
Yeah,
that.
because it had a name where you still just had the regular phone pad, so you had to like type. It was ABC on the number 1, so you had to like if you wanted to type the letter C, you had to hit it 3 times to get to the letter C.
Right here it says it was called multi-tap because you had to hit the key up to 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, that was awful.
Yeah, multi-tap.
So when you ask that, you just get a response that says 1 moment, and literally the same moment she appears in the mine with you.
Hello.
I didn't think you would be able to come after I asked earlier and you didn't seem to want to.
I was busy.
There's also a very distinct difference between coming to meet an elder vampire and coming to collect its blood.
Well,
And- Do you?
there it
have
is, and he just points to the vial in Arvid's hand.
She'll walk over to get it.
I'll just hold it out for her.
She'll grab it and do that sort of like sleight of hand trick where she just sort of like, probably like would go up her sleeve or whatever, where she just grabs it and then her hand, as you see it, like her hand's immediately empty after she grabs it.
She has wrist pocket.
Yes. So I do have some additional news for all of you.
Yes?
I have discovered a way to weaken Magrius. There are 4, we'll call them spikes, that you will need to stab him with before he will become vulnerable enough to be teleported somewhere else. As I've mentioned, we will not be able to kill him while Nerul is still alive.
Where do
Oh.
we find the spikes?
I have them.
Oh, perfect.
So we do this prior to your ritual.
During. But you will need to be up close, so I would suggest, obviously, that Signe, Callum, you might be the ones to attempt this.
Oh, I am all over this.
I can also do one.
Nuh-uh. Listen, you get
Griswold
all
as
the cool
well.
stuff. I get to do this, okay?
There's 4 spikes.
There are, but it will require, first of all, a bit of strength and also, ideally, someone who is not going to get punched in the face. And sort of just like motions to Callum. No offense to the rest of you, but you can decide however you'd like to do it is fine. Just a simple suggestion. I will give them to you when we are a little closer. Additionally, I have located, well, I know where Electo is, and I can get
That's
you.
information.
I can get you to her, but we have 2 options. You can attempt to fight her on her own, or you can attempt to fight her and her sisters together. If you fight her alone, it is likely that her sisters will, well, one of 2 things are likely to happen. One, they'll attempt to find you, or they will accompany Magrius when we start the ritual. So it really is dependent on which you would prefer. Fight them all at once, fight them with Magrius, fight them potentially separately as they attempt to hunt you down and kill you.
It appears everything is moving rather rapidly, so I don't think we'll be able to give them the time to hunt us down. So my vote would be just to take care of all of them at once instead of trying to fight 2 of them alongside a being such as Magrius.
Connor.
I agree.
Give me 3 sisters.
I don't mind if we have to fight, but I would probably like a day to specialize my magic for that event.
Well,
Right.
that's the other.
Is it time sensitive?
It isn't. To the best of my knowledge, they have no idea that they're not waiting for you. We'll put it that way. So the
Shame,
other
I've done so much to get their attention in the past.
Well, I'm sure they know who you all are, but I don't think that they're anticipating you showing up to kill them. The other question, of course, being, would you prefer to do this, or would you like to go after the Dragonheart?
We know the dragon is going nowhere.
And Osmond is still doing a bit of research on where the dragon does go to try to find the best spot for an attack. And we only parted ways with him this morning. So I'm sure he hasn't even made it to Stormhaven yet.
That's true. I say we go after the sisters.
They are far more elusive, and with both being, I would say it's difficult to judge which would be the greater difficulty. My money personally would be on the theories, but Our patron here seems to think otherwise.
Well, first and foremost, let's get out of here. And she, again, she raises her hand up in the air and casts the spell that transports you all to Twilight's Vigil.
Oh, thank you.
Once we are at Twilight's Vigil, Callum would ask, "Do you really intend to leave that vampire alone?"
Unless he gives me reason to go back on my word, I don't see why I wouldn't.
No, you'd be killing us. And he kind of like motions to himself and the two sisters.
Then we're in agreement.
And she looks at Griswold. Well, at the very least, I promise I'll wait until you're all dead.
Fair enough.
And of course, should this plan succeed, that day may never come.
And should this succeed, I don't see how he would pose much of a threat. Regardless, the plan with the Furies does require a bit of a subterfuge. The token that you received, and she's alluding to the butterfly.
Hmm. Yes.
They will be summoned, they believe, by Thanatos, to which they will respond. They currently have no notion that he has turned his back on the rule. He, of course, won't actually be there. The butterfly itself is what will make them think that the request is coming from him, only to be all of you.
So, that can be very beneficial. Is picking the area that the confrontation will take place.
That is a little bit tricky. It will have to be in the Shadowfell.
I don't really know much about the Shadowfell, but that's still, at least we'll know when it's happening.
Through my discussions with Thanatos, he made mention that he would never call them to the prime material plane. That is why we have to do it there.
Arvid, how long would you need to prepare yourself?
I probably require a few hours to refocus my magic into more confrontational aspects.
It's rather late now. We didn't even leave for the cave until dark, so perhaps everyone gets a nice night of sleep. And would that be enough for you for tomorrow, Arvid, at some point?
Probably. I'd also have to find a tree again for Twilight's Vigil.
There are plenty. The place is overgrown.
Yeah. But I actually have to see the tree to use it.
And while you're all talking about resting, she's gonna cast Magnificent Mansion, so that you're not just standing in a crumbling crypt.
But yeah.
Well, essentially, you'll just see the door at first. She sort of just motions. If you need to rest.
Yeah, I'll happily walk through a door. I'm quite used to traveling through the plains at this stage.
Callum will as well. No worries there.
as we're all going in, Griswold's going to look to the matron and, well, is there anything you could tell us about the Aaron? Yes, that will help us prepare. Is there anything that harms them, or is there anything that they're uh, more resistant to?
Well,
What are they? Are they undead themselves? Are they something else?
they are not undead.
Demigods.
Correct.
You can understand why I might believe them to be a bit more difficult than a single dragon, no matter how great and terrible. They are, after all, the gods, demigods, who served Nerul in bringing him many of his choice servants of the afterlife, those who have created or caused heinous misdeeds while still amongst the living.
They're also torturers and murderers, and they are resistant to many forms of magic. They're immune to things like fire and poison.
Fire is something that I will not prepare then, because Griswold has uh, a bit of a proud small grin on his face. Well, I'll have to prepare my magic as well, and he kind of just looks a little bit too proud.
I know that they can speak to each other telepathically. They are extremely fast. They are extremely deadly.
They are magical themselves, or able to cast magical spells?
I am not entirely certain. I just know that they are very magically resistant. They are capable of using multiple weapons. They fly. You cannot hide from them. They do have true sight. I don't know if that's the thing you would say in like Exandria, like if you could know what true sight actually is. It's like, I think it's a spell, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Callum, well, actually, matron, will how will we get back from the Shadowfell?
I can do that.
Well, just because Callum, I know you can only speak with her once, correct?
Correct.
But if we're
I
going
also
to
have not
be,
yet tried doing so across planes.
would he be able to with his stone?
I don't know, what does Sending Stone say?
If it is the sending spell, this is the sending spell.
I'm pretty sure it's not the sending spell and it only works if you're on the same plane. I'm not 100% certain, and Callum definitely doesn't know.
It does cast the sending spell.
There would be a 5% chance that it wouldn't work.
Correct.
Because Grizzle's going to because if we're going to be preparing for a guaranteed fight, uh, that's not one of the spells that I'm going to be planning on having at the ready.
Yeah.
Maybe as a backup, the matron can just teleport us out after a certain time.
I can actually transport us via the planes.
Would you need to save your magic for the fight, though?
It's the type of magic that's on the higher scales of what I can do, so I can do it once and still have my standard array. So it shouldn't be too much of an issue.
Oh, okay.
I'm more so thinking of if there's a situation that arises where we need to speak with her immediately. Not so much about you know, oh, we're victorious and now we have time to rest, then yes, Arvid would be able to get us out. I'm more worried about if we'll be able to at least contact her if the worst case happens.
Well, I feel like worst case, you have a 95% chance. Pretty good odds.
Well, that works for me. Otherwise, I would have prepared the spell. But and he'll kind of just nod and start like scrolling through his spell book.
There is another thing to consider, which is that if you are successful in defeating the Furies, Magrius will know immediately. Which means that fighting Guthol becomes something that will also need to be done immediately afterwards. Because I will need to start the ritual very soon after.
Sounds like we'll go for a Dracolich then.
Yeah, Callum kind of gives him pause, and you're certain that we will not lose them and they will not become aware of what's going on if we deal with the dragon first.
So long as Thanatos lives up to his agreement, we should have time.
I believe he will. While I am no fan of his work, I do feel that of all the gods of death, he is one who might have been agreeable in another circumstance.
I believe he to be a victim of Nerul as much as any.
And Rikolich first.
Yes.
I'm sure your
Dracolich.
brother Osmond will be very happy if we're able to take care of that before he even gets there.
So, what I can obviously send you to Stormhaven, or probably not a good idea to go directly there, of course, but
Perhaps we can sleep here for the night, and then if you can send us somewhere on the outskirts of the city where we can be unseen, that would be fine. If not, Arvid, I'm sure you know plenty of trees in that area of Stormhaven, so perhaps we could go through that way and then take one more rest before we start a fight, so he can regain his power.
If that's the case, then perhaps we should go today. Having multiple days of rest in between is a needless delay.
We just go and then rest?
That's my thought.
Well, Matron, can you send us somewhere outside the city where we'll be unseen?
I don't see why not.
Then we sleep now, and in the morning she can send us, and we'll be fully prepared.
True.
And I believe that will be the best option. It seems rather comfortable here. Get a good night's sleep. Get some food to regain our strength, and then we fight a Dracolich.
Yeah,
You
sorry.
just sound more excited.
Sorry if I'm quiet. I'm trying to prepare 19 fucking spells.
That's fine.
I know that feeling.
I don't, because I just
Not
forgot,
with-
I just forgot how to do play wizard and do spells. So
Not with Callum, obviously, but that high level wizard I keep getting to play, who also has 2 magic items that let him have extra preparations. And so many spells. It makes me so happy, but also it takes forever.
So the matron will ask, once you are successful, what would you like to do? Would you like to, again, it's not as immediate as it would be if we were doing it the other way around, but I'm just curious as to how
We
quickly
go.
you'd like to start.
We go. We kill the lich.
Dragon Lich, Draco Lich.
Lich is a lich.
What's inside of a fucking dragon?
Are we going to like search around for its
Nah, it's whether Gross Heart will be right in its chest.
No, it's
Uh,
phylactery.
Phylactery, which is in Stormhaven as well.
We were told by someone, I think it might have been the matron, that the most secure place that they could think of would be at the Nexus.
Yeah, because I
Yep.
cast divination and received the cryptic
yes.
message of
Yeah.
it is in a place that is a haven from storms.
Yes. So that's the other option, to destroy the phylactery instead of fighting the dragon.
What do we think would be more difficult? Sneaking into the Nexus, which is more secure than any prison or something like that that I've ever seen, or legitimately fighting an undead dragon?
I imagine they are just their own kinds of difficulty.
It's likely not as impenetrable as it once was, given the destruction of the city. What you'd probably face now that you wouldn't have previously would be potential monsters or inmates that were housed there. As you recall, it was not just a school, but also a prison for criminals of very powerful magical skills, as well as creatures that were deemed dangerous but useful for study. I don't know if they've. It seems that they haven't escaped from Stormhaven or from the Nexus itself, but that doesn't mean that they're not free within the Nexus.
I would also add that there's not an impossibility that attempting to sneak into the Nexus and deal with this phylactery will itself draw the attention of the Dracolich. And then we will have to deal with both at once.
I would suggest, if you choose to fight the Dracolich, that you take Osmond along with you for assistance, and if you can convince him, he may also be helpful in fighting the Furies.
Spirit, I don't see him worrying much about. I think he does seem capable and rather brave, but in the last fight with the dragon, he was
One of those
very
things
scared.
sounds true.
I've known him for a long time. I've never seen him impacted like that dragon had him.
And when the time comes to face Magrius, if you have any other allies that you can call upon, it may also be worth asking.
You could call your friend the fairy dragon.
Yeah.
Looks at Arvid.
Sir Talavar.
I can do that and other things.
Well, instead of just contemplating the difficulties of both possibilities, I'd rather try to take out just the phylactery than the Lich, the Draco Lich itself, because one, from what you've all told me, killing this Draco Lich will mean nothing if the phylactery is still intact.
It'll mean nothing to the Lich's long-term survival, though I do not know how long it would take it to reform after being killed.
Yes, wouldn't we have to go after the phylactery and then the dragon anyway to get its heart?
If you
Matron?
destroy the phylactery, I believe the Draco Lich just dies.
Then we would have to go to the Dracolich first.
To get the heart, yes, but
Yeah.
not for a fight.
Essentially, if you destroy the Dracolich, the body itself, the spirit of the creature will enter its phylactery, and until it can find a new corpse or regenerate its old, there's no set time for such a thing.
And you require the physical heart, so even if we destroy the phylactery, we need to then find the dragon.
Correct.
Given that we have already killed one dragon, I say that attacking the Dracolich itself is the better option. It seems to me that if it were trying to acquire an appropriate body to store for use if it is destroyed, we already killed it. Which means destroying its body would take us long enough, at the very least, that it should not have time to return before our two subsequent conflicts.
I would concur that that seems likely, that it would not find another suitable host until after we were successful in our plan, in which case we may be able to do something further after the fact. Not that I'm necessarily suggesting that the fight is the better route, it's just confirming the possibilities. The fighting the dragon would certainly be much more straightforward. We don't really know what you would be facing should you go after the phylactery. Difficult to prepare for something when you don't even know what you're stepping into.
I also still stand by my earlier concern. Going after the phylactery may itself draw the attention of the dragon, which has more potential danger than simply going after the dragon ourselves.
If that's what the group thinks will be easiest, then dragon it is.
Well, judging from how rough the last fight was with the dragon, I don't necessarily think it'll be easier, but I think it's better than summoning a horde of enemies on us at once.
There's no need to think it'd be a horde if we're breaking into the Nexus. There are many things that people would want from their heart from a phylactery. So I'm not of the opinion that the Draco Lich would immediately understand what was going on and come to it. I think we could save a very, very dangerous fight if we were to just take that out first.
Even without knowing why we're there, it is situated literally next door to the creature.
Oh, he's the Draco Lich. That's why Asmund was going to find out where he goes.
Hmm.
And no matter what, if we get to the phylactery, and destroy it. No worry of the Dracolich. And if it does start coming to us, it dies halfway, or it dies on its way, and we can just take the heart easily from where it dies.
I just think that we should maybe get some like holy water, bulk up a little bit, get a little extra practice in before we go, because while I enjoyed our fight with that red dragon, it beat us up pretty good.
Might I also suggest, looking at Signe, find something to throw at it?
Yeah, I know.
Speaking of that, that also might be a decent reason that it would be beneficial for it to come after us inside the Nexus. Much less likely for it to be able to fly into the air out of our reach.
It is possible. I don't know the defenses of the Nexus as you all do. Though, certainly from what we saw of the creature, removing a roof or two doesn't seem outside its ability.
The only hesitation that I would have about going into the Nexus is not so much for Signe or Griswold or Callum, but for Ragna and Arvid. The issue is that it's possible that you would not be able to cast spells while you were in there. The whole purpose of having magical creatures and magical criminals stored in this place was that it kept them from casting spells.
It would not affect the phylactery in the same way.
Depends on what part of the Nexus it's in. And it's not casting spells. It's just a
Enchanted item.
right. It's just holding it's holding the soul. To destroy it, you wouldn't cast magic. You just smash it with a hammer.
Well, for myself, I could probably transform, then enter. So, I just won't be able to cast any healing.
I feel like that could be dangerous, though. I mean, if the dragon does come into the Nexus looking for us, I don't think that would end well.
I believe we've come to a point where we may just need to take a vote.
Oh no, I'm totally saying let's go for the dragon. I just want us to try to be smart about it.
I'm of the feeling that I will be easily outvoted here, so it appears that going after the dragon is our next step.
You know, if we shop around for a bit, I might be able to get some enchanted arrows to shoot. That could be something.
The one thing that is certain is the night's sleep first, so I will see you all in the morning. And Griswold is going. I mean, we've never been in one of these mansions before, but he's just going to look for a random couch or comfy spot that he could lay down.
Yep, they're all over the place. And there's a
He
fully
will
stocked
find
kitchen,
one.
and there's bedrooms and everything. It's huge.
First stop kitchen to get food, and then he will just lay down at a random couch and eat and fall asleep.
I mean, if we're assaulting a Dracolich, I could ask Sir Talavar to ask the Queen if she's willing to lend some assistance, but I have doubts whether that will happen.
I would also consider saving that for calling in any favors for killing an actual god.
And Also, if you choose to, you've still got Kramus in your back pocket as well. You could ask him to join. You could ask Osmond to join. You could ask Allie to join.
I technically have a contact I never contacted in this game that I might be able to go find. I don't know how helpful he'd be.
You do. Might be able
I
to send
lost his card when I went to hell.
That's true. You did. So yeah, you do have options of other characters. Obviously, if you do want to ask Kramus to join in, Rob, you'll need to level him up. But
My one friend in this campaign died.
she did.
Ragna's one friend hates her now.
Well, yeah.
Literally all of Callum's backstory died, except for this one random dude who I have no way to get in touch with now.
But
That's why you don't have friends. That's why you only have soldiers.
Ragnar,
Yep.
you could ask your mentor as well. I mean, like if you're like, hey, we're you know, let bygones be bygones. Let's go kill a god. Like that's a you know, it's worth a shot maybe if you wanted to do so.
But technically also ask all of the paladins and clerics gathering in Vasselheim to attack the dragon.
I mean, that's another thing you could attempt to do. You could try to lure the dragon to Vasselheim, in which case they would all attack him just because. So that's something else you could try to think about. Because obviously we're not necessarily done, but we're not going to fight the dragon tonight, obviously.
Well,
Because
Griswold is thinking that, very, very ancient Dracolich. Are we really going to outsmart him and lure him into a bad situation?
Yeah, that's true.
Griswold's kind of thought process is the best option we have, since we're going after the dragon and not the phylactery, is to get the jump on it. So, that's where his head is.
Well, I mean, that's kind of where Signe is too, which is why she's just like, well, we should, instead of like
That is-
pouring oil over the wall, the holy water.
That is a very Griswold thought process, too, of like, when in doubt, assassinate.
I mean, his first thought was sneaking, so it was I could sneak in there and destroy this thing, and now it's like, okay, well, we'll sneak up on the monster and kill it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's something that you guys can, if you decide that you want to try to come up with a plan, you don't have to come up with it right now. It's something you can think about for next week as well. But yeah, I mean, for the most part, I think we can leave it there. Really, with everybody getting their full rest, and then we can prepare to transport to Stormhaven or outside of Stormhaven to meet up with Osmond to figure out your next steps. I mean, obviously, you guys would make your decision before you teleport, but